This November, no matter the outcome, we will elect our 47th chief executive. But first, we're going to take a look back at how the presidents became president. This is your countdown to 47. Now to Timberwolf, George Herbert Walker Bush. Before becoming the 41st president, Bush enlisted in the Navy on his 18th birthday. He went through flight training and became the youngest naval aviator up to that point. While on a bomber mission in the Pacific, Bush's aircraft was shot down. Bush, the only survivor from the plane, waited for hours until he was rescued from the water by a submarine. Once the war was over, Bush entered the oil industry in Texas. Following his success there, he ran for the U.S. House of Representatives, winning the first of two terms in 1966. In 1971, President Richard Nixon appointed Bush as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. In the coming years, Bush held a number of prominent roles, including chairman of the RNC, chief U.S. liaison officer to Communist China, and director of the CIA. Bush ran for president in 1980. He lost the nomination to Ronald Reagan, but was tapped to be his running mate. The two decisively won that November. In 1981, after the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan, Bush took on some of the president's schedule as he recovered from surgery. In 1988, Vice President Bush won the Republican nomination for president and the general election that November. He then became the 41st president of the United States. As President Bush came into office, the Cold War was winding down. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and the communists were being overthrown in Eastern Europe. That same year, Bush sent American forces into Panama to depose of the corrupt government of General Manuel Noriega, who was wanted by the U.S. for drug trafficking. After just over a month of Operation Just Cause, Noriega was captured and brought to the United States. In 1990, the president worked with Soviet leaders to successfully push for German reunification. Domestically, Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Clean Air Act of 1990, and the Civil Rights Act of 1991. President Bush's attention turned once again to foreign affairs when Iraq, under the leadership of Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait. President Bush, with support from the United Nations and Congress, sent in nearly 500,000 American troops, inciting the Gulf War in 1991. The war lasted a couple of weeks and ended with Iraq being driven out of Kuwait. This overwhelming victory led to a rise in Bush's popularity. Also in 1991, President Bush and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev agreed to the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, or START, which reduced nuclear stockpiles in both countries by 1/3. The official dissolution of the Soviet Union occurred later that year. The Cold War was finally won. Bush ran for re-election in 1992, but with the slowing economy, he lost to Democrat Bill Clinton. George H.W. Bush served as President of the United States from 1989 to 1993. I'm Eric George for Valley News Live, and this has been your countdown to 47.